What if the real reason she stopped respecting you wasn't about what you did, but what you kept tolerating? A man doesn't lose respect in a single moment. He loses it drip by drip, in silence, in smiles, in surrender. If you've ever felt like the man she used to admire is fading, it's not too late, but it starts now. Every high-value man learns this truth early. Respect is never something you demand with your voice. It's something you embody with your presence. It's not about speeches. It's not about asking her to understand you. It's about the quiet decisions you make when no one's watching. It's in the boundaries you enforce, in the standards you refuse to lower, in the strength of saying no without blinking and never having to explain it twice. The moment you begin compromising your principles in the name of peace, comfort, or connection, you don't just lose leverage, you begin to lose yourself. And here's the harsh reality. Most men don't lose their woman when they stop loving her. They lose her when they stop commanding her respect. It doesn't happen with a big argument or a dramatic failure. It happens slowly, gradually, one small compromise at a time. You laugh off a joke that cut deep. You let a boundary slide to avoid conflict. You choose silence over clarity. And with every moment like that, you teach her something. This man can be bent. And a man who can be bent too easily will one day be broken. The tragic part is, it's not her fault. It's not even personal. It's biology. It's instinct. A woman cannot continue to admire a man she no longer respects. And no matter how loyal you are, how long you've been together, how much you care, admiration is the oxygen of a relationship, and when it's gone, everything suffocates. So today, that ends. Today you stop performing and start embodying. You stop begging for respect and begin living like someone who already has it. From this moment forward, your value is not up for debate, and the boundaries you set, they're not suggestions. They're sacred. If you're ready to reclaim the man you were always meant to be, drop a comment below. I choose respect, because the men who live with quiet discipline don't have to ask for respect. They walk into a room, and it follows. Disrespect doesn't always come in loud explosions or obvious attacks. It rarely shows up as a slap to the face or a screaming insult. No, it's usually much quieter than that. It shows up in the form of a joke that cuts deeper than it should. A sarcastic remark followed by, "Relax, I'm just kidding." It's the eye roll when you speak about something you care about. It's the silence that follows when you set a boundary. And here's what most men don't realize. When you let it slide, when you smile and swallow it, when you pretend it didn't sting, you're not avoiding conflict. You're sending a message. You're teaching her something she'll never forget. That your standards are flexible. That your boundaries are suggestions. That your dignity is up for negotiation. And in that moment, you don't lose her affection. You lose her admiration. And once admiration fades, love becomes hollow. Because a woman cannot stay in love with a man she doesn't respect. She might stay out of habit. She might stay for comfort. But she will no longer see you the same. Respect is not restored with big speeches or grand gestures. It's protected in the small, quiet, unseen moments. The moment she crosses a line, and you calmly, clearly, without anger, say, "Don't speak to me like that again." And if she does it again, you don't argue. You don't raise your voice. You don't plead for her to understand. You simply walk, not to punish her, not to play games, but to protect yourself. Because the man who lets one offense slide invites 1,000 more. You think you're being mature by staying calm and letting it go. But if your calmness lacks conviction, if your silence isn't rooted in strength, she won't read it as peace. She'll read it as passivity. And passivity is poison to respect. That's how men lose themselves, one moment of silence at a time. You see, women test not to destroy you, but to find your center. They lean into you emotionally to see if you stand firm or collapse. They press gently at first, a comment here, a challenge there. And if you wobble, if you fold to avoid discomfort, you show her that your foundation is shaky, that your edge can be dulled. And when a man loses his edge, he doesn't just lose her interest, he loses himself. I've seen men become shells of who they used to be. Men who started strong, principled, proud, and ended up timid, anxious, always trying to keep the peace. But peace without self-respect is not peace. It's quiet defeat. So let me ask you, what have you tolerated lately that you once said you never would? What line got crossed that you stayed silent about? The next time disrespect shows up, because it will, don't react. Respond. Calmly, directly. No anger, no drama, just truth. Correct the behavior once. If it happens again, you don't correct it twice. You correct the situation by removing yourself. The strongest move a man can make is not force, it's absence. Because your presence is sacred, it's earned, and it should never be given to someone who thinks she can shape you without consequence. When you draw that line with calm certainty, something shifts. She sees it, she feels it, and even if she pushes back, deep down, she respects it. Because a man who stands for nothing gets walked on by everything. But a man who holds the line, he becomes unforgettable. So don't reward disrespect. Don't downplay it. Don't delay your response. Set the tone. Hold your edge. And remember, what you tolerate today will shape how you're treated tomorrow. Peace is not a luxury. It's not a bonus you stumble into on a good day. It's not something life just hands you when everything happens to align. No, peace is a fortress, and every high-value man knows he must build it brick by brick and guard it like his life depends on it. Because in truth, it does. A man without peace is a man constantly reacting. He wakes up in a state of panic, checks his phone before he breathes, gets pulled into everyone else's emotions, everyone's expectations, everyone's chaos. He answers texts he shouldn't, explains himself to people who don't deserve an explanation, apologizes for saying no simply because it made someone uncomfortable. He's constantly moving, but going nowhere. That's not living. That's running on emotional fumes. And let me ask you, how many times have you said yes just to avoid guilt? How often have you responded to a message not because you wanted to, but because you felt obligated? Every time you do that, you trade a piece of your peace for the illusion of keeping the peace. But the truth is, real peace doesn't require performance. It requires presence. The kind of presence that walks into a room and changes the atmosphere without saying a word. The kind of presence that doesn't react to disrespect, but simply removes itself. When your soul is at peace, you no longer need to fight to be understood, prove your worth, or entertain energy that drains you. You become selective. You begin to protect your time, your space, your focus, not because you're selfish, but because you've realized how rare your inner stillness really is. And here's what most men miss. Peace doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It's not loud, but it's powerful. It's the quiet strength that holds you upright when everything around you feels chaotic. It's the clarity that helps you make decisions that others hesitate over. Women notice it. So do friends, enemies, and strangers. When you carry peace, people feel it. And the ones who live in chaos won't know what to do with it. They'll test you. They'll try to shake you. They'll throw emotional bait to see if you'll bite. But when you choose silence over reaction, stillness over struggle, clarity over noise, they realize they can't move you. And that changes everything. So here's the challenge. Stop leaking your peace. Stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you on purpose. Stop apologizing for protecting your energy. Stop being available to everything and everyone. Build filters around your attention. Ask yourself, with every conversation, every notification, every invitation, does this protect my peace or poison it? If it poisons it, let it go. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. You don't need to justify peace to people who thrive in drama. You need to live it so clearly that it becomes your natural filter. And yes, this path will feel lonely at times, but it's in that solitude that your strength is forged. You'll start to enjoy your own company, value your own time, wake up not for status or validation, but because your morning silence is sacred. You'll clean your space not for show, but because order outside brings clarity inside. You'll train your body not just for looks, but because discipline in motion sharpens discipline in mind. Peace is not passive. It is deeply intentional. It is not weak. It is the highest form of self-respect. And the man who carries it doesn't have to raise his voice to command attention. He just walks into the room, centered, calm, untouchable. So let me ask you, what's stealing your peace right now? Who are you still explaining yourself to? What nonsense are you entertaining out of habit, not purpose? Whatever it is, today is the day you reclaim your space. You tighten your circle. You raise your standards. You stop reacting and start choosing. Because the man who protects his peace becomes the man no one can provoke, no one can manipulate, and no one can ignore. And in a world full of noise, the man who chooses calm becomes the one everyone remembers. They told you vulnerability was strength, and in some ways, they were right. But they forgot to mention the nuance. Because real strength isn't just about being open. It's about knowing when and how much to open. There's a difference between emotional depth and emotional dumping. And the truth is, mystery matters. It's not manipulation. It's magnetism. A man who shares everything, every thought, every fear, every wound in the first few weeks of a connection doesn't build intimacy. He builds pressure. He hands over his soul like a brochure, hoping someone will read it and stay. But women don't fall for a biography. They fall for presence, for energy, for the quiet confidence of a man who knows his value without needing to explain it. A woman doesn't need to carry every part of you to feel connected. She just wants to feel that there's more to discover, that there's something rich beneath the surface, something steady, something unshakable. And that kind of depth isn't found in oversharing. It's found in restraint. The man who reveals himself like a sunrise, gradually, with intention, with timing, is the man who captures her attention and earns her respect. You've been told to open up more, to prove you trust her, to let her in. And sure, trust matters. But let me ask you, how many times has opening up too soon made things better? Did sharing your doubts, your traumas, your fears in the early stages make her lean in more? Or did you watch her energy shift, just slightly, as she stopped seeing you as the mountain and started seeing you as a mess? This isn't about hiding, it's about pacing. It's about preserving the polarity that keeps connection alive. Women don't want to rescue a man. They want to admire one. They want to lean on someone who feels solid, not someone who spills constantly, hoping she'll patch him back together. A respected man shares with purpose. He opens small doors, not the whole vault. He doesn't flood the room with every emotion. He lets his energy speak first. His silence carry meaning, and his words arrive with weight when they're finally spoken. You want to build real attraction? Stop oversharing. Stop explaining your every move. Let her wonder a little. Let her earn access. You don't owe your full story to someone just because they asked. You don't need to validate your presence with your pain. Treat your life like it matters, like your experiences are treasure, not therapy. You're not hiding, you're holding. And when the right person earns the right to see more, what you reveal will mean something. Men often mistake constant expression for connection, but the strongest connections are built in presence, not paragraphs. It's the steady energy you bring. It's how you sit with your thoughts instead of dumping them out for approval. It's how you maintain the calm in your chest, even when your mind feels loud. And when you do speak, when you open up by choice, not out of desperation, your words carry gravity. You become the rare man she wants to listen to, the one whose silence says more than most people's speeches. So here's the truth. In a world where everyone overshares, the man who knows how to hold himself becomes unforgettable. Be that man. Lead with mystery. Speak with meaning. And never mistake noise for depth. Because the less you spill, the more she leans in. And the man who can sit in stillness with power, that's the man who commands the room without ever having to raise his voice. Emotional control doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean shutting down, disconnecting, or pretending you don't feel. It means developing the kind of depth that allows you to feel fully, but respond selectively. It means knowing how to sit with tension without needing to release it immediately. Because here's the reality. Every man is going to be tested, not just by women, but by life itself. The way someone looks at you, the sarcastic tone, the passive-aggressive silence, the way she pulls back her energy just enough to make you flinch. These are not attacks. They're invitations. Invitations to either prove you can be moved like a leaf in the wind, or show you have roots deep enough to hold your ground. Most men react. They feel discomfort and immediately try to fix it. She gets quiet and they start chasing. She challenges them and they raise their voice. Someone disrespects them and they explode, thinking that volume equals strength. But true power? It's quiet. It's centered. It's the ability to feel everything and still choose your response. A man who reacts emotionally to every trigger doesn't own his inner world. He's constantly being moved by forces outside of himself. And that's not masculine. That's reactive. That's unstable. And women can feel it. They don't even need to test you intentionally. They can sense if your center is fragile. They can sense if one emotional poke can knock you off course. So they press. not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. They're searching, not for perfection, but for presence. They want to know that when life gets chaotic, you won't. They want to know that when they get emotional, you don't fall apart with them. You become the calm in the storm. Let me ask you, what happens when someone challenges your authority, your value, your choices? Do you need to prove yourself? Do you get louder, faster, angrier? Or do you pause, observe, respond only when it's meaningful? Because the man who earns lasting respect doesn't get rattled. He doesn't explain himself to be understood. He doesn't argue to win approval. He understands that silence is often more powerful than any speech. He knows that the space between the stimulus and the response is where kings are made. And in that space, he doesn't just hold his ground, he owns it. Emotional sovereignty is the discipline of feeling without flinching. You still hurt, you still get frustrated, but you decide which waves are worth your motion. You don't react because someone disapproves. You don't chase because someone pulls away. You don't collapse every time you feel misunderstood. Instead, you stand. You hold your frame. You watch. You let people reveal who they are, and you respond with clarity, not desperation. You choose peace over panic, focus over friction, direction over distraction. And in doing so, you become the man no one can shake, the one people trust when everything else feels unstable. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming unshakable. It means being the man who doesn't fall to pieces when tested, but rises in silence, in discipline, and in presence. You don't have to be the loudest. You just have to be the most grounded. Because in a world full of reactive men, the one who can breathe, wait, and respond with wisdom becomes unforgettable. Some men stay not because they're in love, not because it's right, but because they're afraid of the unknown. The uncertainty of walking away feels heavier than the familiar pain they've been carrying for years. So they stay. They stay in a job that drains them, in a relationship that belittles them, in friendships that no longer serve them. Not because it builds them, but because it's predictable, safe, manageable. But here's the truth. If you don't leave what's slowly killing you, you're not surviving, you're surrendering. And not all at once. It's a slow death, piece by piece. Every time you bite your tongue to keep things calm. Every time you tell yourself it's not that bad. Every time you choose silence over self-respect. You chip away at who you were meant to be. Until one day, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the man staring back. You become a watered-down version of yourself, a man who abandoned his mission just to maintain the illusion of peace. But real peace doesn't come from staying where your soul is dying. It comes from walking away when you know you've outgrown the room. The man who is willing to walk away is the man who commands true respect. Not because he's reckless, but because he's loyal to his standards, to his spirit, to his future. And when a woman senses that you're only staying because you're afraid of losing her, the dynamic shifts. She begins to test you, push boundaries, not to hurt you, but to confirm what she already suspects, that you'll bend your values to keep her. But when she feels that you're there by choice, not fear, that you could walk away anytime, not because you're detached, but because you're grounded, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your value rises, because people respect the man who doesn't negotiate with his soul. He doesn't stay somewhere just because it's convenient. He stays where there is growth, peace, alignment. The moment that alignment breaks, He doesn't throw tantrums or give ultimatums. He simply exits. Not out of anger, but out of truth, out of self-respect, out of the unshakable knowledge that no amount of love is worth the slow erosion of his identity. So ask yourself, what are you clinging to out of fear? What's the thing you're afraid to walk away from, even though you know deep down it's no longer serving you? What are you tolerating in the name of comfort that's actually costing you your peace, your clarity, your edge? Because strength isn't proven by how long you endure what's breaking you. It's proven by the moment you decide to stop, to choose you, again and again and again. And when you do that, your entire life begins to shift. You stop chasing validation. You stop begging to be seen. You stop proving yourself to people who never deserved access in the first place. You start moving differently, thinking differently. You reclaim the parts of you that were buried under compromise. And you become the kind of man who doesn't need to be louder, only firmer. Not aggressive, just immovable. When you say, "I'm done," it's not a threat. It's a decision. Final, quiet, powerful. And the people who truly see your worth, they'll rise to meet your standard. The ones who don't, let them go. The job that undervalues you, the woman who disrespects you, the friend who manipulates you, let them go. You weren't born to live small. You weren't made to beg for peace. You were built to walk boldly toward what aligns with your mission, and sometimes that means leaving behind what once felt like home. Because the man you are becoming deserves more than what the fearful version of you was willing to settle for. Walk away, not to prove a point, but to protect your soul. And when you do, you don't lose power. You become it. Real love doesn't shrink you. It doesn't ask you to become less of yourself to make someone else feel more comfortable. It doesn't require you to edit your truth, silence your voice, or trade your standards just to maintain connection. Real love expands you. It lifts you. It pushes you to become more of who you're meant to be, not less. So if you've ever had to make yourself smaller to keep someone in your life, I want you to hear this clearly. You didn't keep them, you lost you. Because every time you dim your light to fit into a space that wasn't built for you, you teach the world that your value is negotiable. You begin to move like a man hoping to be respected, instead of living like a man who already respects himself. And the truth is, respect is never earned through begging. It's not given because you're loyal or because you try harder than the rest. Respect is built in silence, in your boundaries, in your discipline, in your ability to say, "This is who I am, and this is where I draw the line." People don't respect what you say. They respect what you walk away from. Because when you choose your soul over your comfort, your peace over approval, your standards over temporary attention, you stop asking for value and you start becoming it. And yes, it's hard. It's hard to walk away from what feels familiar. It's hard to stand alone when the world tells you to compromise. But I promise you this, the moment you stop settling is the moment life starts aligning. The wrong people will fall away. The right ones will rise. And you won't need to chase anything anymore. Because everything meant for you will be drawn to the man you've become. So if this message hits something in you, don't scroll past it. Don't let this be another moment that feels powerful but changes nothing. Act. Share this with another man who needs to remember who he is. Drop a comment below. I choose my soul over comfort. Not just because it sounds good, but because you're done shrinking to survive. You're ready to expand, to lead. And from this moment forward, your life isn't about proving you're worthy. It's about honoring the fact that you already are.